Welcome to Faith in the Making podcast, where we glorify God while walking together on a journey of faith. I'm your host, Amanda Fogel, along with Margarita Schultz, and we are so glad you're here.
Welcome to Faith in the Making podcast. My name is Margarita Schultz.
I'm Colton Boley.
If you are tuning in on YouTube, you'll see that Amanda, my co-host, is out. We have Colton here who is going to share his testimony. I'm just so thankful that you're willing to share. I don't know that I've ever actually heard your testimony.
I don't know that my testimony is proper, but
That's okay.
go off the rails a little bit.
Yes.
Grew up not really in a Christian home. I would say both my parents definitely knew who Jesus was, and I would say they definitely both followed. Once upon a time, I say that because my dad knows the Bible. He would jokingly or seriously, just throw verses out, just out of nowhere, and would always say, to know right and do wrong is a sin, and just stuff like that. Like he knew the word. So, he definitely knows who Christ was or is. My mom, her dad was a pastor. So I just, I kind of assume that she knows who Jesus is and experienced it once upon a time, which now she's seemingly found her faith again, which is, a blessing in itself, something I've prayed for. But anyways, so yeah, I guess when I first found or was introduced to Christ, it was probably 2016, 2017 through a friend of mine, Cody Shepard, and then an old friend of mine of his as well. And it was just, they grew up in, not Cody, but the other guy, he grew up in a Christian home. And when I was going through my struggles with my family, I kind of clinged to his family. They seemingly had good morals, and they still do. I don't really talk to his family anymore. We've distanced, nothing against them, but they put me on the right path and were like, hey, try God, we live this way. And so I just heard them, joined their small group with I think it's Teen Challenge, a couple guys there, and their testimonies were just absolutely out of this world. Like, if you think your life can't be corrected, like it's living proof that it can be. Like, I don't need to explain what they did, but it's just it's crazy. One of them is actually a member at our church, and nice. I don't know that you would know him, but he sits third row every single week, and he's an awesome dude. But that went on for about 2 years, so I felt like I was on fire for Christ, and I feel like most people are when they first hear about it. They get excited and they go. But I also feel like most people, and maybe it's just, I know it's not just me, but you kind of drift away, like you lose that fire. And it's not that God leaves you, it's you leave him, like you feel like you're secure enough, or like, okay, well, now I'm saved, now I can just go back to do whatever I want. It's like, that's not the case. Like, you're not going to be perfect no matter what you do, and it's not what you do that saves you. It's just by living by faith alone. But living by faith is following Jesus, not following yourself. And it's something that even I struggle with today. It's like, I'm a Christian, but I still struggle with living my own way sometimes. It's like, but.
So how old were you when you?
29. So what's 2017? What is that now here? I don't know. Not 18, probably 22, 21, 22, somewhere in there.
Okay.
I met Murphy before that, which is kind of crazy too, because I feel like she's definitely a huge part of my testimony. We were only together for about a year and a half, broke up 7 or 8 times in the course of that, and still got engaged. And nice. So it's like, that's another thing too. Like,
Your now wife.
And now she's my wife. We're going to celebrate 5 years of marriage in September. And it's like, none of that would have been possible without God. And, it's like, to the unbeliever, it's like, no, we can't physically see God like walk into our door and be like, hey, you need to do this, like a counselor. But it's like, you can see God, like he's living proof all the way around you, and he shows you through love and faith and all the well-being and everything like that. But she was going to Iowa City, and she was going to a church there, long distance, and I was going to Grace. And whatnot. So it was like that's what held the long distance together. And we kind of had some family of like, oh, you're gonna get engaged and so fast, but it's like behind the scenes we were living for God. We got baptized, or I got baptized October 1st, 2017 at Grace, and then she got baptized the same month, like October 31st. She's gonna kill me that I don't know. It's like a 30 or 31st in Iowa City, and it's like I think it was just kind of like a whirlwind to her family. Like, hey, they're actually about to get married and whatnot. Her mom actually said no when I asked her for her blessing, and I asked her mom and her dad because they're divorced. But fast forward, I'm 29 now. I have a beautiful 2.5-year-old daughter, married for 5 years, and it's all to God. I mean, it's seriously all to God. I mean, that's my testimony goes on and on and on, but like part of it is I'm glad I found God when I did, because my mom got diagnosed with cancer 2017, I believe, or 18. Yeah, 2017, maybe even 16. She's also gonna kill me that I don't know that, but she was cancer free in 2017, because I remember my testimony. I said, because of the power of God, she's cancer free, and I'll never forget it. Laying there in the hospital bed for about a week, like just off and on staying over, and just put my hand on her one time, and I was a fresh Christian. I was felt like I was on fire for Christ, and I missed the small group that night because I was there, and I just had this feeling like, put your hand on the bed, and I wasn't good at praying. I was nervous, and honestly, I don't even know that I'd prayed before, and boom, like she was healed. So it's like,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it is crazy. So I don't know. I try to live my life like Christ. I mean, he's the only perfect person. And it's like, it's so easy, I think, especially as men, to beat yourself up for not being perfect. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I used to cuss like a sailor, and I still slip up here and there. And it's like, that doesn't mean I'm not going to the gates of heaven, but it also doesn't grant me the free will to just go out and blaspheme any word that I want to. You're supposed to live by an example, be Christ-like. And I don't know. I think the one thing I wanted to touch base on that's non-testimonial wise is the struggle. I think like non-believers look at Christians like, oh, you're so perfect, you have it all together, or look at you, kind of. It's like it's not that, and it's like it doesn't necessarily like, I've heard from a close friend like only the weak need God. It's like, like, oh, I've been perfectly fine my whole life without him and I'm set. And it's like, just take a minute to like really think about like, what about when it's done? You know what I mean? It's like, can you really sit here and be like, this life that we're living it's like once the lights go out, like that's it. It's like there's no way, like, and the word explains that, like, it talks about procreation. It talks about how this world wasn't meant to be hurt, broken, sad, depression, cancer, like any of that. It's like,
that's the thing, is everyone, not to say like Christians don't deal with those things as well, but everyone who does not have God in their lives, like, I just know they're suffering with one of those, and so it's like, you do need a savior. Put your pride aside, and
it's crazy. And just the proof, like the living proof, like, some people are like, oh, I need to see like the medical records, and it's like there's more proof on Jesus existing crucified. And then there's this I don't know what it is, the cloth, it's like called the turf or something, and they're like scientists, like, and all these people, they're like, there's millions of turfs or whatever that there are, but it's like it's the only one that has a face, as if it poofed through it. It's like there is
like, there's evidence, history.
And it's like, who is it, Sir Isaac Newton or Alexander the Great? Like, there's more documental proof that Jesus resurrected alone than there is that those two people existed. And it's like, I don't know. At the end of the day, like, the reason why I follow Christ is because, I mean, there's a million gazillion reasons why I do, but one, it's like, I feel reassured that honestly love is real. Struggling, like, just love was something that, like, to just sit here and say like, oh, my mom never loved me, like, that's not true. She put her shirt on my back, and she didn't have it. But just like with the family struggle, it's like, even when I didn't have Christ, like, I just know he was watching, like, over our home, and it's I I just love him, don't you? It's just so good. Like you just look back and you're like, wow, you were there, you were there, you were there, and even in the moment when I didn't think you were there, you were there. Mm-hmm. It's just so crazy. Like even my business, like I met Josh out of nowhere. I was in banking, got a random call to go do car sales, making boohoo bucks. Went there, it wasn't the case, hated it. Out a month and a half later, but in that month and a half, I met Josh. We went to a sales training overnight together and came back motivated to sell cars. Well, like 2 days later, I'm like, dude, let's start a window cleaning business. It's like, that doesn't just happen. You know what I mean? Like, where does that come from? It's like God ascends into that. And it's like, I don't have a college degree. He doesn't have a college degree. We just quit our jobs and boof, here we are celebrating 6 years. It's like, it's not me, it's him. It's like, it's living proof.
Yeah. I want to dive deeper in that. So Colton has a business called CJ's Windows and Cleaning. As an outsider looking in, I can just see God's hand put in your business, on your family. You guys have like literally blown up with the community, with customers. I remember when I don't think you told me personally, but you just shared on Facebook how you were going to start this business. This was before I had Christ in my life, and I kind of just read that like, how is he? How like where's the need for that? Like I just in my mind I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
But wow, like God really, and he probably did give you that seed in your ear, and he does things like that, and he prospers when you seek him and when you find him, and I can just totally see that with you, not just your family, but like with your business. It's amazing, and I do. Selfishly, I want to kind of like hear more about how you got your business up and running, just because I have a household of small businesses as well. I do interior design on the side, and then my husband has a lawn care company. We're still pretty babies into the industry. Your small business, I wouldn't even call it small at this point.
It's
getting
small.
large. But I do kind of want to go back to like your childhood, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I've said already that we are cousins. Your dad and my mom are brother and sister. So first cousins. At one point, we lived down the street from each other for a while.
Oh, yeah.
We went to the same school, but we never like really grew up together.
Not really.
I look at like back at family photos. I think the age of like 5 and under, there's quite a bit of us together.
And then,
I think our parents at some point were close and there was some type of falling out. So,
had to be when my parents got married, because they got married. I was 5 when they got married, so something would have, I don't know. And I don't know that there's ever going to be like an answer to that. Like if you ask one side of the party, it's probably this. If you ask the other side of the party, it's coming to this. I kind of have like my own answer, and I kind of, and it's, I've always thought like, how do I actually feel about it? Like, is it actually the pure hatred that I want to let out on my dad? But I do think it was him. He's admitted some things like drug usage since the day they got married that I didn't know about, until after the fact. And it's like,
when you shared, so my testimony, I said that I too didn't grow up in the church or anything like that. But it's actually kind of weird because we do actually have a lot of family members who are in the ministry.
Yeah. Crystal.
Yes, Crystal. Grandpa Richard.
Donnie.
His side. Yes, I didn't realize that your mom's dad was a pastor as well.
Lee Town Assembly. It's like over off of. It's kind of between University and Grandview Golf Course. Sort of little small church, but that's where they got married. And
so you were really surrounded, like there were so many opportunities where you could have been surrounded,
for sure,
but you weren't,
for sure.
And I don't know that I want to put like a ton of focus, unless you do, on your dad, but like I know that has got to be really confusing. Having, because that's when I do kind of recall on his good times. I do recall him being a follower of Christ.
Oh yeah.
I assume, just the enemy has gotten to him quite a bit. Hopefully one day he gets reined back in.
Yeah.
The fact that he does know the Bible, and he, like, what would you say earlier, that he could
he could just lift up like his favorite verse. I mean, he just would blurt it out like randomly, like, I don't know if he was trying to be funny or whatnot. It's like it's either Isaiah 59 or Isaiah 29.
Mm.
I don't even know if there is an Isaiah 59. Like that's what I'm saying. He knows the Bible way much more than me, but he would just say it all the time, you know, or to know right and do wrong is like the biggest sin. It's like, well, all sin's equal, you know. I've come to find that out, but yeah, he just, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I love the dude to death. He's never met her. But he's also never tried. Like that's, it's not that I'm holding back. I mean, I definitely am. Like if he just showed up, there's no way, or you know, like it would take a lot of improvement and whatnot. Right. But yeah, it's like I don't know. It's like it is confusing, but at the end of the day, I mean, I used to stress about it, like no sleep, going to the ER, because I'm puking blood, like not, you know, like
what, just in and out of your life constantly.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of times where it was like 3-4 times a week I'd get a call from whatever girlfriend, like, hey, he's trying to kill himself, you know. It's like it finally got to a point where it's just like, God, I don't need the answer, and that's what I'm striving for. So it's like I'm at peace now. It's like I don't need to know if he's going to come back in my life. It's like would it be nice? Yes, but it's like that's a whole journey, but I know God's working on it. Like if he wants that there, it'll happen, whether it's this year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It's like that's the beauty of God. Like it's truly in his hands. Like if the door's closed, it's closed. If it's open, it'll be open when that time's there. It's like I've just seen so many times, like relationships, other businesses, like you try to force something, it's
doesn't work.
Never works.
So would you say that was he maybe the start to your faith, the little spark, or did he almost turn you away?
I don't think there was ever turning away. Like I never looked at him and discouraged God or looked at God in a bad way. I think a lot of that was because the so-called trauma I went through was before I was a Christian. And then when I became a Christian, the trauma was like I already separated myself from it. And so it was like past trauma, not active. So then it was easier to look at it and be like, okay, this is what's actually going on. It's not God. It's the enemy taking complete control over it right now. And I see that, you know, I've definitely feel like I've done what I could to talk to him and financially support him when you can, but it's like you can only do so much. Like you got to plant the seed and then you got to let God do the work, like I said. So who knows?
I shared my testimony a few episodes back, and I touch on our family, specifically my mom, your dad, their siblings, and our grandparents. There's just so much generational sin that's got a lot of them captivated in the same types of traumas, addictions. And so before coming to Christ, I would look at our family members and just have such a poor viewpoint on them, almost like I was above them, looking down, just because these are like grown adults, and some are homeless, asking for money, begging for money. And so for me, coming to Christ and just really learning, not only is God real, but so is Satan, and that he has those people in a chokehold. And so for me, I have a lot of sympathy moving forward when I do reflect on our family members, on things that may have occurred, just people in general that I see day to day and passing, homeless people on the streets. But with that said, like my parents specifically, they don't necessarily fall in that category. So I'm sure it's really difficult that you have a father who is in full-blown addiction, who also knows the Lord. And so I think it's really beautiful that despite all that, like you still prospered and you seeked God, you came to your faith,
I always told myself, and I see like these Facebook memories that come up, and it's like 2013. I'm like a junior in high school, and I'm just like, and I'm posting stuff like I know it's a long ways from now, but I can't wait to be a dad and have a family. And it's like, and it's like, I really, honestly, I thank God for what I went through. Like I wouldn't change it for the world, because it's like, honestly, without God putting me through that, I wouldn't have the heart that I do now. It's like, want to provide for my family and give them the absolute best, where it's like, where if I was spoiled, it could be less fortunate or less grateful for like small opportunities that I have.
I feel like, our parents, they are examples for us, but we can't necessarily use them as excuses. So when you grow up, you do have the option to either continue on that path that they did or do better. And so for me, the same, my parents made mistakes, but like sometimes you take those mistakes and or God, I should say, God uses it for good. And so you learn what not to do, especially with the children and becoming parents.
It's also too, because it's like, even if like you were to, I don't want to say judge them, but like, let's say you threw them on a level of like how great of a parent they were, not necessarily saying that you need to put yourself on like a way higher level, but the point of improving above them isn't to be like, oh, haha, look how much better I am than you, and look what I did compared to you. It's like, no, it's like you want your kids to be better than what you are now. It's like you got to live as that example now so that they can see that and be like, okay, now I got to be better than that. And like, that's the whole point of it. And that's where I need to take some of the sentimental forgiveness. Like I don't know, like my heart says like I forgive, like do I really? Like it's like, I don't know, I haven't come to grips with that, and that's where I'm like, I don't know, just leave it to God. Which another thing, leave it to God. Matt said this like a month ago. He's like it's not let go and let God, it's give it to God and keep moving, and that's, it's with the business thing, that's exactly where I was gonna go with that. Because you can pray like, God, give me a financial situation that's better than what I'm in, or give me freedom, like, or whatever the case may be. And I just didn't know what to do. Like, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I was in love with this girl, and I'm like, I'm selling cars, working 8 to 8 3 days in a row. Like, it's just, how am I supposed to have a family? Every Saturday was mandatory, 9 hours or 10 hours a day. It's like that seed was planted, and it wasn't, all right, God, and like, you do it. It's like, you gave me the seed, now I have to take it and run with it. And not lose sight of him. Like, it's easy to be like, all right, well, now I have this thing from blessing from God. All right, thanks, see ya. And when I need you again, it's like, no, you got to keep your nose in the word, keep your faith with him, and he will guide you. It's not that I've been perfect reading the Bible every single day, but it's like, my faith is solid. There's nothing that will take that. There's nothing that will disturb that. There's no one, like, someone could laugh react this video and it would not bother me, because it's like, at the end of the day, it's like my heart, my soul, and everything is just so cemented into that living truth that this world is not what it's supposed to be, and we will be in heaven one day. It's like, that's it's like, thank you.
I know that you mentioned you went astray a little bit, but I do think it's beautiful that you came to Christ so young. You said around 21 is maybe when your heart became on fire. I want to just recap a little bit and also kind of go back a little bit. So if you guys hear like little children, we have kids around, so we've had like 3 takes now. So one of the takes you mentioned, there was a little period of where you wanted to go. Was it the Navy?
Marine Corps.
Marine Corps. Okay. Yeah. I had completely forgot about that.
That actually came up on my memories today, which is crazy. It was me swearing in, and that's I was supposed to leave like 2 days later. Then that evening or the next day, they showed up at my house. Yeah.
Okay. So to recap a little bit, you're kind of growing up.
Yeah.
So many opportunities to really hear the gospel, but it doesn't happen. You're in high school, you want to graduate, you're ready to be an adult.
Yeah.
And then you had this idea to join.
So I graduated that semester. So December of 13, I was done, but I still graduated in the 14 class. My thinking was, I'm taking a semester off. I'm sleeping in every day. I'm not doing nothing, because I've just gone to school for 4 years. And my mom, being the teacher, she's like, nah, you're going to college. And got enrolled at DMAC, but I hated it. I just hated school so much. That's why I wanted to get out and just take a break. And so I flunked out, quit, whatever you want to call it. And when that happened, it was like second semester. I didn't know what to do for work. I didn't have like a job that I'd quit. So I just went and worked with a family friend in this warehouse and was like, oh, I'll sign up for school in the fall when I figure out what I want to go for. And didn't happen. But in that summer, I was like, Marine Corps, and did that whole thing. And yeah, it didn't pan out.
So what did you say happened?
So in the Marine Corps, I don't know how every branch is. I didn't go in, so I didn't get to learn everything that a veteran or whatever would know. But I took my ASVAB, and you can take that test. So it's a test, like a big written test. You take it, you get a score. It's like a 0 to 100. Based off your score, you get qualified for specific jobs or MOS. And a family friend who lives in California did communications, talked to me about it. I was like, I want to do that. Like, I love that. That's cool. Wouldn't have to go active duty, and me not having a brother to pass on my name was like a big thing. So that's why, like, I do not want infantry. Like, I just don't want it. My mom definitely doesn't want it. So I took that test 3 different times, and before you're a Marine, because you have to earn your stripes, you're a poolee. So I took the test, did not get anywhere close to what I wanted. Studied my butt off, got close a second time, but you can't just take it and then like, okay, I'm gonna go take it again tomorrow. You can take it, and then you have to wait 3 months, and then after that, if you don't get your score, you have to wait 6 months. After that, you gotta wait a year. So I took it, waited 30 days, took it my second time, didn't get it, had to wait 3 more months. So I was a poolee training, doing all this stuff, like thinking, holy cow, like I'm going to Camp Dodge, staying overnight every so often, just getting ready to go to boot camp. And yeah, long story short, I took my test, finally got the score. It was like 1 point higher than what I needed. So excited. Went, stayed overnight at the hotel by the airport, the Holiday Inn, which is, if you're going to boot camp or getting shipped off, that's where you're staying the night before. And that morning, they showed up at my house completely unexpected. I still think it was kind of fishy because my parents weren't there. I was sleeping. Weird. And they're like, hey, it was my recruiter and his boss, or whatever you want to call it. And they're like, hey, man, they had this big manila folder. Can't do communications anymore, but after a year of doing infantry, I guarantee you'll have that job. You'll be such a high rank, and blah 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 blah. Just sounded weird. Called my uncle. He's like, no, you can't. Like, that's not how it works. You can't. They're just lying to you. And coming from a retired Marine, he served 23 years. I was like, this, no. So I went back to the warehouse job and got into banking through another friend, and then just kind of all transparent and
trickled until you got to your business now.
Yeah.
That's a good example, because you mentioned how, like, you really thought that was kind of like your own like plan for your life, and that time was to join. So I feel like that's a really good example of, like, you can try to do your own, create your own path in life, but God, if He has His hand on you, He's going to steer you.
Oh yeah, and then even trying to follow someone else's plans, be like, oh, like, friends would be like, there's nothing wrong with it. Or they're like, oh, you'd be a good fitness trainer, or you would be a good realtor, a good lawyer. It's like, and they're like, oh, I'll never consider that. Let me try it. Well, that's what happened with banking. Is my buddy was a banker. He's really good at it. He's like, hey, you just come be a banker. So hated the warehouse job, went there, and then they told me I'd have to go to school to rank up higher, and didn't want that. And
kind of hopped around a little bit.
Yeah, speaking of hopping around.
Okay, so you're at a point where you're in your sales position. You meet your business partner, Josh.
Yeah.
You really didn't know him for very long. Kind of similar to your now wife when you guys got together. So there seems to be a theme here.
Yeah.
So you're the one that had the idea to start the window cleaning business?
Yeah, we both had the idea that we weren't happy with where we were. We both getting treated like garbage by management. But yeah, I kind of did some digging, and the banking before that just kept ringing my mind, like reoccurring business. Like, every day in the bank, you get the same people come in on Fridays, same people that come in, you could just get know their name. And I love that. It's like some jobs, like roofing, for example, you roof a house and you probably won't see them again for another 20 some years. And it's like, I don't know, that kind of had a part of it. And then just a little bit of research, but he's the brains. He's the brain. He's definitely the brains. And I'm more of like the hands-on type guy. But even it's like we didn't even know it yet. like that's would be the perfect mold. Like that's
Right.
that's how we operate now. Is he's like office guy doing that kind of stuff. I would
Mhm.
lose my mind if I had to do that every day. And I'm like, I'd rather be on the field, like
Yeah.
helping the guys or making sure everybody's at the right job.
It didn't take you much to get started.
Nope, $100 and no
Yeah.
brains.
That's interesting. I just assumed you would need all this fancy equipment.
No, we do now. Like at this point, if something were to go down, like our
Right.
purified water system,
Mhm.
which we didn't even have that for like 3 years, and it's like looking back, it's like I don't even like how did we even do that? You know, like looking back, we
This is
could have.
God.
Yeah, literally, it was. Yeah, I mean,
He will make a way if
literally.
it's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some really hard times. I
Mhm.
mean, some seriously hard times, and times I don't know. I've never really said I was going to quit, but there's
Yeah.
times where you get close, and it's
Yeah.
just you
Well,
find that extra level.
I've said this on an episode before, but like if you really want to know what you're good at, you reflect on what you're being attacked in.
Mm-hmm.
I experienced that a lot, especially with like wanting to pursue my business full time. Just a lot of doubt and worry, like financially and whatnot. And so you will have that when it's very evident that God has you in his kingdom. The enemy hates that, and so he will do whatever to bring you down, to question yourself, to make you like just lose your confidence. And so that's awesome that you guys have been able to remain strong. And you said, what year are you guys on for your anniversary?
Just hit 6 years on Friday.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you guys have like 2 locations?
Two, one physical location, one remote location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're serving like all over the Des Moines Metro?
Des Moines Metro, yeah, we'll go. Yeah, we've traveled far before, but pretty much like Ames and Newton and Adel is like our draw circle around that is where we are.
And you guys, so you started out as 2 men, and how many employees do you have now?
There's 7 total now.
7 total.
7 total.
That's crazy. Yeah, going back to your wife, I didn't even realize you guys weren't together for very long before you got engaged and then got married.
Yeah, we met May 30th of 2017. I got that right. Yeah, and I mean, just the way that we even met was just God moving. You know, it wasn't like I went up to her and was like, "Hey, you're cute. Let me get your number." It was just.
Yeah. That's so nice that you guys were like on the path.
Yeah. The path was ugly. Oh man, was the path ugly? All because of me. That was my straying moment and thinking, I could just do whatever. And I don't know, I was pretty lost. Like I knew like I wanted a family but I don't know, just kind of like you were just saying, like the enemy will come after you when you're doing what you're supposed to do. Like even just reading the word, like you can read it for like 2 weeks straight, and then like all of a sudden you don't want to read it. It's like that's the enemy attacking you because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And yeah, and I think looking back at our marriage and just our whole engagement and dating, like that's always what it came back to. Like we broke up 6-7 times because of me being a dummy, but it's like even her, like she wasn't a Christian yet, but she still had something pulling on her heart to allow me to come back, and whatnot. Yeah, I don't know. I love that woman. She we weren't together when my mom got her cancer diagnosis, and I reached out to her and I felt bad because I'm like, I don't want this to be like guilt tripped you into back and whatnot. But she held firm, like made it very clear we weren't getting back together. But if you need me, I'm here, and it was so nice. But yeah.
And going to your mom, you mentioned that she kind of always knew God as well, like your dad, but she really just came to faith recently. Did you say?
Yeah, she just never really talked about it. Like I think she's always believed in God and believed in Jesus and everything. Just never really talked about it. But yeah, her sister and her husband, they own a church or run a church literally right down the street from us. That white one with the red door.
Okay.
That's where they go.
There's a huge difference of like knowing God and then actually pursuing him.
Yeah, for sure.
I've seen this think it was like a TikTok video where it's like even the devil believes in God. So it's like to say that you believe him, like that's great, but it's not enough. You have to fully surrender and seek him and repent and all the things. So that's awesome that your mom is at that point now. Were you like a driving factor of that, do you think?
I think so. You know, like just recently for like my birthday and stuff and Christmas, you know, she got me like 4 gifts that were like Christ related, and 2 years ago I don't think that would have happened. And I think she sees that, and not that she sees her son living this perfect life, but I think she just sees her son like is genuinely happy for like the first time in like an extremely long time. And it's like I think that she just sees that and sees that it's possible for her as well. You know, like she's got her own situations going on too, but I think she just sees that, hey, I don't give up, and I may have reasons to, and you know, it's because my faith is stronger than my doubts, and I'm just going to keep going because I know what's on the other side. You know,
that's awesome.
It's a promise.
I thought about this before, but now that we're like talking, you know, we obviously have connection because we're family, and so like there's something there where, you know, like our parents, our aunts, and our aunts and cousins, like no one really that I'm aware of had a true relationship with Christ. And what I've learned is that like he picks us for a reason, and sometimes we have to be the first ones to not only change generations, but like also the opportunity to bring our loved ones with us. So like for you, your mom is following Christ now, you and your wife are.
My second family, that's kind of a whole nother story too. Kevin and Tina, they're like, I want to start coming every other Sunday. They came to Easter this past Sunday, and so I mean, it's just kind of you know, and it's crazy because God works behind closed doors. Like I've always been kind of skittish and shy to really be like, hey mom, listen, like this is serious, you know, like let's talk about what's going on here. And even my sister has found Christ too, which but it's like I've never had that, but I can sit there and preach to Murphy while she's making dinner, like, hey, we need to talk, and I'm just rambling and yada yada yada, and it's like that doesn't come, but it's like we pray about it, and it's like God will just use that, you know. It's just when you get to see what he's working like unfulfilled or not unfulfilled, like how unfold in front of you, it's awesome. It's so crazy.
I'm really excited for our children because they get the opportunity to know him from the get, which is just amazing.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to share? I want to ask some questions, but is there anything else that you feel you want to touch on more?
No, I guess I had one piece of advice. And that is not necessarily for you, but for whoever's on the audience. Don't look at other Christians and see like what they do and be like, oh, that's God. Like, don't look at like, or like, that's God. Like, follow Jesus. Like, that's the only thing you can do. I mean, I remember just looking through Instagram, and you'll see, you know, sports athletes that'll talk about God, and then they're doing something completely different. You're like, whoa, like, you know what I mean? But it's like, all because you follow God doesn't mean you're perfect. Like, you're going to make mistakes, but it's just kind of like, you can just kind of sense like where their heart is. So instead of trying to figure out who's godlike, who's not a true Christian, who is, like, just follow Jesus. Like, it's such a narrow, it's like putting bifocals on. It's not blocking out the rest of the world, but it's keeping the focus on him. So that's the only thing I had, because I struggled with that. I would look at my buddies who were trying to encourage me and mentor me, and I'm like, what are you doing, you know? And it's like, you got to just distance yourself and get back to him, and he'll answer literally everything else.
Yeah, our last episode we were talking about the gospel, and I just see so many people turn away because they put their faith trusting man instead of God, and it's like, that's not what you're supposed to do, you know. And also realize that we're not perfect. I encourage this last episode, but like, if you're going to start the Bible, start in Genesis, where you will learn the fall and everything that was not God's intentions, and this is why the world is so corrupt now, the Adam and Eve.
Yep.
And so you just have to, like you said, fix your eyes on Jesus. All these, godly friendships and what have you and communion, that's great. But you just have to remember at the end of the day, like, it's him that you follow.
Yep.
And no one else. So.
Yep. And don't beat yourself up. I mean, you're gonna slip up. That's why he died on the cross, and that's why he rose again. Is because he knew he's the only one that was gonna live that perfect life. And I just would always beat myself up. Like, just I'm not reading enough. I'm not praying enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sinning still, or I just messed up, and it's like just having it on him. I don't even know where I'm going with that.
Well, you're doing great now. We're in small group together every Wednesday.
Yeah.
I see you guys on Sunday. We go to the same church.
Yeah.
It was really funny because when I decided I was finally ready to attend a church, I had no idea that's the same one you were going to.
I was going to ask you how you even. I guess Stephanie, right?
Yeah. Yes. So.
Yeah, that is.
The very first service, I think we were all exiting. I'm like, oh, hey.
Yeah. So speaking of grace, Murphy and I first started there through the friends and family we met or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then after we got married, we actually left Grace, and it was just kind of like an older crowd. Matt was there; he was the young adult pastor, and we were in. I guess I was in the young men's group leading up to marriage. But we left. We wanted to explore something maybe more our age. We wanted to be involved, and it was the excuse train. But we're kind of forced into grace. Let's go see what else is out there. And we went to Cottage Grove, amazing church. Walnut Creek, a couple of amazing churches, and I mean, loved them. The worship was insane. The message was insane. It was incredible, but something still called us back to grace, even though sometimes I was like, this isn't really like super motivating right now, And so how it all panned out, Murphy and I went back, didn't say anything to anybody, but everyone was like, hey, how's it going? Even though it'd been a couple of years. And then walking in through the back, I see Matt shake his hand like I typically always do. And I was like, Matt, quick question. Not that I'm trying to kick Phil out of here, but like, are you next in line? He's like, oh, it's crazy to say that we're talking about that today. And then in the meeting, they had a guy. I don't know if he's a member of Grace or if he just preaches somewhere else. I think he preaches in another state. But he was preaching that night, and he was or that day at church, and he was talking about it and how their vote was coming up. And I was like, what? So and that was the beginning of last year. And then Matt became senior pastor in I think October. So I was just like, well, God answer our prayers. I don't know what church, because we were seriously scrambling. I was like, I don't want to just take Addie to these random churches and there's just random daycares. It's like I want to be set, and it's like I want to grow somewhere. And now you go there, and it's crazy. We're finally in a group now, and it's all working out.
Yeah, it really is like funny how like God just puts us on these paths, and now I feel like ours is kind of intertwining, which is really cool to see. So I had a few other areas I want to hit on, like of what you would give advice in your areas of life.
Yep.
So I know you're kind of like still healing in this area, but if there is like one advice you would have to give as someone who grew up with a parent who was in and out of faith, how did you keep your head on straight to where you continued your own journey in faith?
Just knowing what the truth is. I know that the truth isn't in what my dad did or said, or he could have said whatever about God, and all because my dad said it didn't mean it was true. So I just had to. You kind of have to just discover that truth by yourself. Like I could tell you right now that the sky is purple doesn't mean it's purple, but unless you read the word, that's where the truth is. So I think the best advice is seriously keep your nose into the word. Like, even if you're not part of a small group, go to a church, don't listen to worship music, you will get every answer out of that word. Or if like, that's why I think I love Grace. They're so, hey, we preach out of the word. This is what it is. It's the truth. We don't skip over anything. And all the answers that I have found have been in the Bible, like, not necessarily with my dad's situation as far as like finding a verse or a story in the Bible that I can relate to, but like with my struggles, the book of Job. Job is one of the finest men in the land, as God calls him, and the devil's like, oh yeah, you think so mighty fine of Job? Well, how about I come in there and mess his world up? He's like, you can do whatever you want, just don't take his life. You're not allowed. Or he says you're not allowed to touch him or take his life. So God went in there and took his crops, took his money, took his children, dead. I mean, took everything, and he was still faithful to the word and the Lord. And it's like, I use that, as part of, to answer your question, like, how do I say so, on path? And it's like, you read a story like that, and it's like, if you didn't know God was real, you wouldn't losing your children and like it's like, for example, like if I lost CJ's right now, knock on wood, it's like, would I still be faithful? And it's like, it's easy for me to say yes, but it's like, I would love to say that, like, that would be the case.
So what advice would you give a young adult who maybe finds Jesus, is on fire like you were, and then kind of goes astray? How would you bring them back in?
Oh, as if you are that person that's straying off. Oh, that's tough. I think God does it for you. It's so hard. It's kind of like if you're to quit something like you're addicted to, just to straight up be like, all right, I'm done quitting cold turkey. Like, it's probably not going to happen. But I think God has that ability to do that. Like, he will just come in and pull you back in, because like it says in the Bible, he leaves the 99 to come find the one, every time, not just, oh, I got it when I feel like it. Like, if you are a follower and a believer of Jesus and you're saved, he will come find you every single time. And even when you don't expect it, like, it's not going to be very long before he's like, all right, come back here.
That's true.
This child of mine, you feel it, the conviction. And it's just like, he's genuinely a father. Like, it's just like, if your dad was like, hey, don't go do that, or don't go play in the neighbor's yard, like, you would probably just listen,
to maybe listen to that calling
Yeah.
when he pulls you back in.
Yeah.
Okay, my last question is, what advice would you give someone who is wanting to start a business?
Ooh. I would almost say don't do what I did, and that's just, I mean, I straight up winged it. Josh and I winged it. We had like 4 things scheduled, and we're like, we're just gonna quit and just absolutely try to make it work. Granted, we each got part-time jobs for like 6 months. I think I had one, he had one for a year, and then we finally quit those and went full-time. But I would say just have a passion. You don't have to be like, oh, I have a passion for cutting grass, but it's like, you may have that passion for that transformation. Like, you love doing the transformation. That's where the passion is. I think such an easy cliche answer, but you now, without looking back, like, just pray on it. Like, you have to pray on it. Don't let go and let God. It's give it to God and keep moving. Like, you still have to bust your tail. You still have to get up early. You still have to grind. You still have to, but it's just like reading the word, like, if you don't read the word every day, you're probably going to get lazy in that aspect and not be as top notch, no pun intended, as you could be. But same thing with the business. You got to pray on it. You got to ask God for guidance. You got to ask God to open doors that need to be open, close doors that need to be closed, and he will do that. Like, for example, Prairie Meadows, we just landed that. We're doing it on Monday. People probably think it's like some of this big buku job. Like, it's not. It's simply, I'm excited because for 4 or 5 years, I've emailed them, blown them up every single year. Like, hey, I want to do that. I'm from Altoona. Murphy's mom lives right across the street in those townhomes. I'm like, I see that glass, and I'm just like, I can do that. I want to do that. But we finally got it, and they called us out of nowhere. Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. So I think just giving it to him, never giving up. He makes those situations. It takes finding one person, but it's like, you don't have to find them. If you just keep putting your faith in Christ, that person will be placed on your front door. Also, everyone go listen to Daddy's DNA by Brandon Lake.
Is that your last plug for the night?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing. I think it's always so fruitful and so encouraging for others who are maybe thinking about Christ to hear testimonies like ours. So I just want to encourage everyone to continue to share. If God has done something in your life, has delivered you, has performed miracles. Please share that with the world. I pray that everyone who listens to this needs it and it'll benefit them in one way or another. I know it has for me, so thank you so much for coming on here.
I do feel like God's making his name be known this year.
Oh, yeah.
Like I can just see it happening across, especially social media. I just see him come alive in music too. So praise God.
He's definitely, the time is coming near.
Oh yeah.
So
yep.
Thank you guys so much. Jesus loves you. God bless.
Yes, he
does. Hey guys! Thanks so much for tuning in for today's podcast episode. It is our goal to provide hope and encouragement to all of our listeners through scripture and our personal stories of our own journeys of faith. Thank you for being here. Jesus loves you, and so do we. Until next time.